border adjustment tax. I think a lot of people are not up in arms about this because they simply don't know what it's about. Can you explain what this is about and why it is something we need to battle?
Sure, I can do all that really easily, Kevin. It's going to make everything more expensive, period. And the way it's going to do that is it's going to raise a tax on imported products from other countries. So for the majority of products that are sold at traditional retail stores and your bigger stores, a lot of those products come from overseas. And so what the VAT tax would do would be automatically put a tax on imported products, somewhere up to 20%. And what that means is the food that we're bringing in from Mexico, or the toys that we bring in from China, or for furs, whatever we're bringing in, it's automatically going to be more expensive because we're going to attempt to penalize those products from coming into the United States. And then the idea is to then incentivize products that are leaving the United States. But to do that, you have to sort of punish those folks who are buying products that tend to be made elsewhere. And you're going to raise the prices, by at least a good margin. And we're anticipating the average family would see probably about a $1,700 increase just in the products they're already buying.
Let me ask you, a lot of people are saying, well, the BAT is all about fair trade. Let me ask you, how many countries tax U.S. products being exported?
Kevin, I don't know off the top of my head. And you're right. Trade is a very complex issue, and what we're looking at here is a quick snapshot. But what it means is that companies that are cross seas, or even subsidiaries of companies that are cross seas, when they transfer those products to the United States, there essentially is a penalty. And it's not so much because we think it's the right tax policy. It's not because we think it evens out some amount of trade, or that American products are somehow being treated unfairly, and so in order to make up for that, we have to put a tariff. No, this just seems to be for the simple fact that we need money, and we're going to raise it somehow. And in order to do that, and the president's been quite clear on some things where it's more of a punishment for companies bringing those products in. And the Trump administration has not looked specifically at the VAT tax, although it's coming up behind closed doors. It's something that is talked about in ways that the administration or Congress could use to fund other products. And so it's really more of a cash machine, I think, than it is sound fiscal policy.
If you found that other countries were putting a tax on our exported products, would you be more amenable to a VAT tax?
I don't think so. I think bad policy is bad policy regardless of how many people are doing it, Kevin. And I think it would send the wrong message for the United States, certainly. We have heard from our elected officials that part of the goal is to revitalize manufacturing, and I think that's a noble goal in the United States on products that we can do that with. But the reality is the United States economy has grown past this sort of mass-produced, making sure that we're producing things that are quantity and maybe not versus quality. And so by doing that, we've sort of transferred that role to other developing nations or other nations around the world. And in doing so, the United States economy has been able to move into service sectors or technology. We're leading the world in things that we're doing. And so to try to reverse that or bring that back, I think is maybe a little bit going back in time. And bad tax policy in order to implement that kind of time machine, I think, is the wrong way to go.
Again, Bryan Wachter joining us, Retail Association of Nevada. Has your association come out against the VAT tax?
We have. Our association, as well as hundreds of thousands of other organizations, including nationwide things, but as well as the local, kind of groups, Kevin. And I think it's places like the Nevada Retail Association or New Mexico or Arizona, or it's the community-based organizations that see how detrimental this is going to be to our communities, to our customers, to our families. And so it's our responsibility to sort of start bringing this up. And you were entirely right when we started. There's not a lot of people up in arms about this because it's still something that's being danced around in back rooms. And so we think the best disinfection is sunshine, and so we're bringing it up, and we appreciate opportunities like yours to do that. And I think as more and more people realize what it is and what it's designed to do, we'll start seeing a better dialogue.
Hey, Bryan, I want to ask you, I've kind of taken you a slightly different direction, but in looking at the 79th Nevada legislature in Carson City, there are a lot of measures that seem aimed at small businesses and small retail businesses for more money, for more taxes. And I guess my question is, have you looked at any of the stuff coming out of the 79th Nevada legislature, and do you agree that there seems to be almost an anti-business attitude coming out of the Democrats in the legislature?
Well, Kevin, the Retail Association of Nevada is intimately involved in the legislative session, and we've got the whole team. I'm calling you actually from Carson City today instead of my office down in Las Vegas, but I'm not necessarily prepared to say it's anti-business, but I think as we take a look at some of the things that are being carried about through the legislative session are things that Nevada has never before gotten involved with in terms of running a business. So requiring certain amount of sick days to be paid based on kind of an arbitrary or minimum requirement, or requiring new and increased minimum wages without taking into consideration some of the things that most other states do, like tip credits or some other acknowledgement on training or any number of scenarios. And so there's not one giant policy I could point to that, oh, this is absolutely bad. It's not 2015 with the commerce tax, but it's this kind of this death by 1,000 cuts, as it were. And so we're seeing a move in the legislature to be more involved with how businesses operate their businesses, how they run, how they manage their employees, how they interact. And I think that is a bad precedent, and it's something that we're looking at still fighting as we kind of wrap up the next 33 days.
And does it bother you that so many members of our legislature are people that have never signed the front side of a check?
It's always easier talking to folks that have signed the front of a paycheck. And I'll say this, I think most of our legislators are at least open to having the conversation and understanding it. We have state senators that are opening their own businesses and starting new ventures, and I think that helps as they have to go through some of the processes that our everyday businesses do. Just to fill out a business license, Kevin, is dramatically harder than it should be. And I almost encourage anybody, if you haven't done it, just attempt it. Don't go through the final steps and create the company, but just go to the Secretary of State's website and kind of walk through it and look at all the red tape and hula hoops that we kind of make you jump through. And I think that's a perfect example of just kind of opening someone's eyes on what it truly takes to run a business.
Hey, Bryan, in a final couple of minutes, I want to give you a chance to tell small business people, small retail business people, what is it they should be doing on this border adjustment tax? And again, this is going to be a federal issue to begin with. It will eventually filter down to the states. But I'm curious, what is it you want small retail businesses to do?
Well, we'd love small business retailers. We'd love everyone, actually, to go online to Americans for Affordable Products, take a look at all the information that's there, look at how we've calculated that this is going to be detrimental to everybody. You can see the study, like I said, where we think each family is going to have to pay an extra $1,700 on products that they're already buying. And then after that, we'd encourage you to take a look at your congressional delegation and reach out to them, make sure they know how difficult it is, running that small business, putting together, making that payroll, paying their employees, and then share what an additional cost like that's gonna occur. Some businesses can pass that along, some businesses can't, and it's going to be detrimental to the ones that are going to have a hard time adjusting to that fine line. So reach out, and same goes for the legislative session, Kevin. The legislative websites there's tons of information. RANNV.org has tons of information, and then reach out to your elected officials and let them know what you're thinking. And I'll tell you this, I think all 63 legislators will take a look at that. They'll listen. They certainly love constituent feedback, and I think that's what goes a long way to kind of stopping some of these really horrible policies, and then also encouraging some of the really great ones.
Hey, Bryan, great to have you with us. I know we'll talk with you again. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
That's Bryan Wachter, the Retail Association of Nevada, joining us. Stick around. More to do as we continue. It is live and local now.